Stories from the Dying City is Dying Light 2's second comic adaptation, and in this story we learn more about Kyle Crane, see the return of the Night Hunter, and glimpse a different side of Dying Light's apocalyptic hell of a world. I've uploaded a few videos before reading the full 115-page comic, but for those who want a straightforward summary and explanation of the new important lore and info provided, well, here you go. Dwight is our protagonist, a survivor who grew up young in Haran. We see him scavenge, until he comes across a cannibal who tries to trick him into trading, but a Night Hunter appears, wreaking havoc and bringing the cannibal to her demise. Dwight returns to his home, being an abandoned amusement park ran as an orphanage, with the next GRE scientist, Berg, being the leader. He teaches the kids about a smoke alarm as the hot-headed child named Harry steals something from Dwight that reminded him of his home life, it being a keychain from the Global Games, the Olympics type event that annually happened in Haran. Berg finds out and states nostalgia is your only weakness and melts the metal chain. We then see Aisha, and Dwight monologues off about how much he loves her, for which the little kids make fun of them. But as that happens, Dwight talks about how inseparable they were in the refugee camps after being rescued from Haran. GRE scientist Berg appears in the flashback, showing their first meeting before the virus spread outside Haran. We cut back to the present where Aisha and Dwight are planning to get junk gold for a reason not yet explained, and we can see Harry being a peep, listening on the conversation. Soon after, the lights go out, and everyone sings happy birthday for Aisha, with sign language to not attract volatiles. Dwight monologues about Berg during the celebration, talking about how Berg cared and raised them, but when they turn 18, they aren't heard from again. Berg claims he doesn't know what happens to them, and swears he wishes they all come back. Later, Berg wakes up Dwight, and sends him on a supply run for a gang of bandits called the Berserkers. This is where Dwight monologues that Aisha's time at the orphanage has run out, so they're planning an escape and over time gathering junk for a survivor with the glider called Eagle. During this moment, Dwight is surrounded by infected as a smoke alarm in his backpack goes off, and he assumes Berg is the one responsible. Dwight fights for his life, having to throw out the shipment of ammunition Berg prepared for the Berserkers, using it as a distraction to get away. Dwight slips into the sewers and up into the terminal, using more traps to distract infected and making his way towards the junk he and Aisha need to escape, and he travels out successfully. We return to Harry and Aisha on a rooftop as Aisha awaits Dwight's return, but Harry questions why she loves Dwight, and Aisha begins to catch on. Harry made it too obvious that he was up to something, and Aisha chases him into a dark attraction. Aisha finds him, and scared he admits he put a smoke alarm into Dwight's bag, as he confesses his creepy love towards her, and Aisha runs off for Dwight, for which Dwight then returns to the orphanage, to find the Berserkers holding Berg and all the children hostage. Dwight tells them the truth about the bullet shipment, and the leader of the Berserkers orders his men to scavenge the place for anything valuable, for which they then find the stash Aisha and Dwight need to escape, and leave in buggies. Dwight, knowing what he has to do, decides to follow them. The buggies end up stopping when they encounter a roadblock, so they send naked slaves and paper bags out as meat to go do the dirty work. And that's when Dwight makes a move, bringing Bomber Infected over to the group of buggies. And from there he takes one of the men out, dropping the junk, leading to Dwight getting caught. More Bomber Infected appear and set off a huge explosion, setting everything aflame. Dwight, thinking he lost what he strove so hard to get, almost is bitten but is saved by Harry, who appears out of nowhere, and they climb to their escape. Harry explains he overheard a call with Berg and a man named the Duke. In the call, Berg states he thinks Dwight knows about their arrangement, where Berg raises children to then ship them off to a cultish type society of people when they turn 18. And people truly change once they enter the cult. And that's made clear when we see Aisha again, waking up and seeing two people she remembers dearly from the orphanage, but she's hit to the ground like she's a stranger to them. The way they speak is like they're programmed, as Aisha questions what is going on. She's then formally introduced to the Duke, the one arranging with Berg to have the children shipped here. He asks Aisha if she's ready for her second birth, or in other words, fall to his ruling. We cut back to Harry and Dwight ziplining into the Duke's compound until a few armed soldiers appear. They're both cuffed and taken inside, where Aisha and Dwight meet again. The Duke explains that his subjects run the palace, while Aisha and Dwight whisper to each other, remembering the Duke from their past at the refugee camp, working with Berg. The Duke attempts to send Aisha out on a test with this armored semi, but Dwight takes over for her and she's sent to go do a different test. Harry joins Dwight, and they ride off, plowing through infected of all types. After dealing with a toad mutation, they enter an abandoned refugee camp, the one where Aisha and Dwight were brought to as children. Harry finds a perfectly working helicopter, and Dwight finds a trailer with a volatile nest inside, and begins to get ideas. We return to Aisha as the Duke explains to her the test, and she doesn't take it too seriously. But the Duke goes on to mention she reminds him of a man he knew long ago in the GRE, Kyle Crane, the man with a mouth who doesn't know how to get along with others. His superior sent him to go secure the assets in Haran, which was the file Rise had hold of. Kyle had no one looking out for him, so he got the short straw, and as we know, wasn't heard from again. Aisha mouths off even more, getting kicked down to a basement where the test begins. Dwight made it back to the Duke's compound for him to let out the beasts. They ravage and tear through everyone in their way. Aisha's made her way out by crafting noise-canceling headphones, and she, Dwight, and Harry meet all back up. It's revealed that in the basement were zombie babies that screech and give anyone who hears that screams the headache of a lifetime. After they get away, Dwight begins to explain to Aisha what happened to the junk stash, but they conveniently see the infected bandit who stole the stash earlier, so they give him a smack and take it back. Then they head to the tower where Eagle lives, so Dwight, Aisha, and Harry can get out of the city by exchanging the collected junk. But the Duke's people are there, firing at them from below, but also at a Night Hunter. Harry, being good old Harry, slips and needs somebody to rescue him. This is where Aisha tells Dwight the truth about Harry, that he tried to get him killed with a smoke alarm earlier, but he knows what's right, so he pulls him up and they head towards Eagle. The Night Hunter appears, but they're let inside last second. Eagle takes a look at the junk stash and geeks, as Dwight demands they had a deal. Eagle apologizes and admits he can't let the glider go, and tries to calm the heated situation. The Night Hunter then crashes through the glass above, killing Eagle in the process. Back on the ground, we see the leader of the Berserkers come into contact with the Duke, as they're setting up explosives around the building. The Berserkers' leader has stolen the detonator, so he blows everything and everyone down with him. We then see the main group try to make an escape as the building begins to tip. Dwight and Aisha get in the glider, and Aisha doesn't let Harry come at first. But Dwight admits they'd be no better than the people ruining the world if they left him to die. So Harry gets in, and they fly off as the building crumbles. They make a stop at the refugee camp from their childhoods, grab the helicopter, and head to the orphanage. Dwight is hoisted down from above, where he tells Berg the Duke can no longer protect him, meaning he can't protect the kids. So he makes the mighty decision to let them go. The Night Hunter then appears, taking down Berg as he says his final goodbyes, going out with a bang. Dwight, Aisha, and all the children ride off into the sunset as they joke around, and the end is here. That was Stories from the Dying City, a not very complex story, but one that adds lore to the Dying Light world we visited. We learn about the brainwashing experiments that GRE was doing with the refugee children, plus we see a lot more of the Night Hunter, proving even more there's tons of Night Hunters in the wild. Also, it's nice to meet an ally of Cal crying from the outside, but it seemed like Cal didn't really have a lot of GRE friends. There were a few references, like the global games from Dying Light 1 being mentioned, but nothing else too major. A lot of what we saw in this comic was new to the Dying Light universe, so it's always nice to see something expand in unique ways. But that's about all. If you enjoyed, then feel free to like this video and subscribe if you want. And be sure to stop by for the next one.